It's maple season. This is the one time of year we get to make this special Imperial Maple Brown Ale. And it has to be timed out just right because we go through a local maple farm down the road, and they make this syrup, this special dark syrup, and it can only be made towards the end of the maple season, the maple run. I feel like you get way more flavor out of this particular syrup than you do the traditional syrup that he does. So we have to time it to where this is ready, and we get this fresh drum of sap also. So this sap is actually going to be used as our strike water for the beer. So the problem with doing a maple beer is maple is like pretty much pure sugar, so it wants to ferment out and dry your beer out, and it leaves not a lot of maple flavor traditionally. So this method, we're trying to pump as much maple flavor as humanly possible. So we're going to put this into our 1-barrel boil kettle first. We're going to bring this up to our strike water temperature. Then from here, we're going to pump it over into our mash tun. We're going to add our grains, and we're going to mash in using 100% of the maple sap as our strike water. There's the maple sap in there starting to heat. You get this nice little foam cap on top. We got to keep stirring this sap. All right, I just shut the heat off. We're about 172, 173 degrees. This isn't the best thermometer down here. So we're shooting for about a 154, 155 mash temp for this because we're afraid of this beer drying out due to all the sugar from the maple syrup and the maple sap. So we're going to go ahead and crank this over right now. We got our chugger pump all set up here. The aroma coming off of this is really unique. When you're smelling this in the beginning stages of the boil, it doesn't actually smell like maple syrup at all. And I can't even describe the aroma coming off of it. Like if you've ever cooked down maple sap at home, this is that aroma you get in the beginning until it starts to turn into that maple syrup smell. Here we go with the mash in. We're actually mashing in during the transfer. This is going to be a very thin mash because we want to use all this sap, which is okay. I'm okay with a thin mash here.
A hair high, but we'll be fine with that.
We're a little bit higher than we anticipated here. We're running about 157, it looks like, a couple degrees higher than we want. We're actually going to stir this up for a little while, leave the top off till we get down to the 155 range. We overshot just a little bit, but for this particular beer, I think that we're going to be okay, just because we have in the past suffered from this beer over drying out. Like we've had like super attenuated beer. Time to add the good stuff. Want to drink that?
I'll drink some later.
Put some on pancakes tomorrow. That's a nice maple brown color. Here we are right at the end. It's the final transfer. This is our ruby. All right, here's the first sample out of the tank. We just took a gravity reading. We're at about 1.010 specific gravity for the finished product. That's not too bad. We've had this beer finish out at like 06 before, and it was way dry. But that's what our fear was. So even though we took all those precautions with the high mash and everything, it did still, we were shooting for like 14, really. And we got to 10. But you can actually smell the maple. The maple came through. I mean, it's not hardcore, but you can smell it. Oh yeah, you can taste it too. The maple was there. The maple made it through. And it's a little on the dry side, but it's actually not bad. This isn't even carbonated yet. This is just a raw sample right out of the tank. and I think it's actually really good. At this stage, I think we got enough maple flavor in there that we don't need anything extra. So a lot of people will actually add maple syrup back in post-fermentation, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous if you're putting it in cans or you're packaging it. In a keg, it's okay. But we've tried that before, and the problem is it makes the beer really sweet, and it's just too much. You know, it's just over the powered. If you add just a tiny, tiny amount and it's just a hair sweet, it's okay, but it's definitely a game that you play there. And I think that this beer is good enough as it is that we don't need that extra boost. So if you guys want to give this beer a try, I highly recommend this process that we did. We've done so many different experiments with maple, and this particular process gives us the most maple flavor in the end. So cheers and happy brewing.